Hello and welcome to this episode of Vagina Truth Bomb, the podcast, where I'm going to be talking about struggling with Mother's Day. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy and I'm a health and wellbeing mentor. Now, the topic of struggling with Mother's Day is something that there seems to be very few resources available on. This is something that I've struggled with myself personally. And when I came to resource myself to support myself, I found that there was very little available when I was looking on podcast and YouTube and, just searching around for some guidance. There didn't seem to be a lot available. And as this is something that I have supported myself through and some of my clients, I wanted to create this episode to hopefully give value and to create thought, awareness, conversations, and connections around struggling with Mother's Day. Now, in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about the reasons why some women may be struggling with Mother's Day. I'm going to look into the origins of Mother's Day in the UK. And then to finish off with, I'm going to provide some examples of ways that you can support yourself or each other if you have a friend or somebody that you love that you feel would need some extra support. I'm going to give a little bit of advice about how you can do that as well. So let's dive in to the episode. Now, Mother's Day is typically sold to us as this lovely hallmark day that's full of flowers and love and breakfast in bed and pampering and afternoon teas and all of the gifts and all of the love and all of the positivity, which is a reality for some women. And that's great. We don't, don't want to take anybody's joy away, but also, the reality is that Mother's Day can be as triggering as chuff for many women. And this is what I hope to highlight in this episode. So, I am just going to give you 10 examples that I have thought of as to why an individual may be struggling with Mother's Day. Now, I could literally record a full podcast on each of these 10 examples. So I know that it's quite a simplified, restrictive list, but I simply wanted to share some situations in the hope that it's going to open up some thought and some awareness. If you would like me to go into any of them in more detail, and do a separate podcast on one or more resources on one, absolutely, please let me know and I will look to provide that. But just to know that I am literally going to go through these 10 points as succinctly as I can, without taking away the meaning and the emotions tied in each one. Okay, so number one is somebody may be bereaved. This could be that they have lost their child or their mother, or a significant caregiver or care receiver. So it's not always the mother who is the primary caregiver and playing the typical mother role within an individual's life. It could be a grandparent, an auntie, a foster carer, for example. And the other way around, it could be a grandchild, a nibbling, or a foster child who is receiving the care. So that's the first example. Second is that somebody could be struggling with their fertility. And the thing that I want to say about all of these examples is that this may be something that you know about a person or that you don't know about a person. Not all of these examples are publicly aware. They're not things that people talk about and share openly with others very often. Sometimes these are things that people deal with privately and don't talk about as much because, as I highlighted at the beginning, there's not a lot of space being made for these conversations, which is what I'm hoping I'm going to change a little bit with this podcast. So the second is struggling with fertility. The third is that they could have experienced a miscarriage or miscarriages, or again, going back to the first one, the loss of a child. It could be the loss of a pregnancy, a stillborn, birth. And the fourth is that an individual could have had an abortion. The fifth is a mother whose child is unwell or disabled, and their reality of motherhood is drastically different to that of their peers and of what society believes that motherhood should be or understands motherhood to be, and what they believed motherhood would be for them. Number 6 is the loss of reproductive organs or the ability to reproduce. So someone could lose their womb or their ovaries for medical reasons, or somebody could be going through menopause and literally going through the transition of their reproductive organs no longer working and losing the ability to have a child. This could be women who already have children or women who don't have children. Number 7 is an abusive / challenging relationship with a mother or a child. So it could be the mother or the child that is the abuser, who is the person who is challenging the relationship. And this can have significant impacts. Number 8 is unknown parentage, so not actually knowing who your mother is. Number 9 is societal expectations to become a mother. Whether you have decided that you want to be a mother or not, the pressure and the expectation from society for women to become mothers or want to become mothers is real. And number 10, struggling with motherhood. Just feeling like you are not enough. Maybe you have postnatal depression. Maybe you are really struggling to navigate the huge shift that happens when you become a mother, the huge change in your identity. Okay, so those are the 10 examples that I'm going to share for the benefit of this podcast. And I just want to say right now, for anyone who needs to hear it, it is okay to not be okay when it comes to Mother's Day. It is okay to not be okay at any time of the year. But we have this message that Mother's Day is this really fluffy, lovely, wonderful thing that we should all be joyous about. So I want you to know it's okay for you not to be okay. It's okay for you to feel anything and everything that you are feeling. And it's okay to not understand how you feel. Now, personally, this was huge for me. because I was so torn between wanting to be really happy for, and I'm talking about Mother's Day here, but also like the whole situation in general about motherhood, for me to be happy for my friends, for my sister, for my mum, for all the mums, to be happy, to want to celebrate them, to want to enjoy the the festivities around Mother's Day. But also, I was fucking angry. I was grieving. I was bursting into tears without knowing why. And I had no idea how I felt. I couldn't put it into words. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I needed. And hey, that's okay. And it took a long time for me to work this out for myself. So I hope anybody who needs to hear this is listening now and can hear me say, it's okay for you to not understand how you feel. All of your emotions are completely valid. I'm going to go back and just remind you of the 5 foundations of health and well-being that I talk about all the time: body, emotions, environment, connection, blueprint. All of your emotions are valid, even the snotty, angry, ugly ones. It's all okay. So, just speaking a little bit more about my personal experience, and please don't judge me for this. No judgment here. But I have never understood what I call hallmark holidays. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. I've never got it. I get the religious holidays, Easter, Christmas. I understand why we have such a big celebration at those times of year. I don't get the over commercialization of it, but I remember being young and my dad saying, write your name in the card for your mum, and my mum saying the same for my dad on Father's Day, and just thinking, why is there a Mother's Day and a Father's Day? Why is there not a middle child day? No, joking aside, like, why do we need this day to show love for people? And in my simplistic little mind, I'm thinking, why can't we just love, you know, give everyone as much love and appreciation as we're capable of every day of the year? Why is that not what we're all striving for? Why do we need this one day every year to celebrate mothers or fathers or Valentines? So I went to see my friend, good old Google search engine, and I had a look into the origins around Mother's Day. Now, in the UK, Mother's Day actually dates back to the 16th century. And I'm just gonna take a moment because it's linked with Lent. And I think it's like it's the fourth Sunday of Lent. Let's get that right. So on the fourth Sunday of Lent, what would happen back in the old 16th century is it was tradition, Christian tradition, for everybody to return home to their mother church to worship the Virgin Mary. And as it was typical back then for children as young as 10 to be sent away to work, this became a really special time for mothers because they got reunited with their children. And it became a bit of a celebration. So children would sometimes write poetry for their mothers, and the family would honor the occasion with a special meal. So very much Christian roots in the UK, and it is referred here as Mothering Sunday. Now, let's just pop over to the US of A for a bit because the origins over there, it's held on the second Sunday in May. It's a different time of the year to the UK. And I'm sharing with you the origins from the USA because it's really interesting. So it started a lot later over there, 1907. Okay. And what happened was a lady called Anna Jarvis started a small memorial for her mother. And her mother was an activist during the Civil War. And Anna held this memorial for her mother and started to campaign for the fact that there needed to be some recognition for the role of women and mothers. And it was very much like a feminist movement. So she started this campaign for the roles of women and mothers to be recognised, especially within service. And in 1914, President Wilson officially honoured Mother's Day as a national holiday, describing it as a public expression of love and reverence for the mothers of our country. And as I've said, it was held on the second Sunday in May. Now, what happened was it soon became hugely commercialized event, very much like what we see today, and a hallmark holiday. And this really, really upset Anna to the point that she actually started to campaign for the day to be removed because she was so upset that the true meaning of the day had been warped into something so commercialized. And sadly, she died in 1948 at the age of 84, and she was still campaigning to that day for it to be removed from the calendar. And I caught a clip, I think it was on YouTube, and I think she was from Philadelphia, and there is actually in the cemetery that she's buried in, there's quite a significant headstone for her there. And some women go every year to her gravestone to honor the true meaning of what she wanted Mother's Day to be. Now, during World War II, the Canadian and American soldiers brought over the commercialized version of Mother's Day to the UK. So that is how we have ended up with all of this commercialization around Mother's Day. And I just thought that was so interesting that the lady that, excuse me, the lady that engineered it and campaigned for it from, you know, a place of love and admiration for women wanted it to be taken back because of what commercialization had done to it. I just thought that was really significant and wanted to share that with you all. And there are obviously different celebrations all over the world, similar to Mother's Day, the variation of celebrations and traditions. However, if we go back to the beginning, to the ancient Greeks, we find there that in spring, and obviously recently we've just had the spring equinox, and Mother's Day is always around about springtime as well, which I find quite interesting. And obviously there'd be links to that with Christianity and celebrating the Virgin Mary. The ancient Greeks would honor and celebrate the goddess Rhea. Now, Rhea was the mother of the gods and the goddess of female fertility, motherhood, and creation and generation. And her name means flow and ease, which I think is really beautiful. And I think that what I thought of when I discovered about Rhea and explored a little bit more and looked at her images was very much that connection back to spring and rejuvenation and things being creative and born and new beginnings, and very much this connection to creativity, but also to nature, to our Mother Earth, that, the mother that all of us, every being shares connection to Mother Earth, and how wonderful and healing Mother Earth is. Now, what I have done now is created 10 ways in which, well, I haven't created, I've come up with some suggestions of 10 ways in which you can support yourself and or someone you love and care about through the Mother's Day season. And the first one is connection with nature, because nature is so healing. And I talk about this all the time. I keep my dog walking business going because I love to get out every morning with my dogs into nature and just get reconnected with her. So many ways that you can connect with nature. As I've said, you can go for a walk. You can paddle in a stream. You can listen to the birds. You can look up at the clouds. I mean, bird watching and listening to birds at this time of year, whilst they're all like flying around nesting, and we wake up every morning to the birds singing. All of these things are connection with nature. So there are so many ways that you can choose to do it. You can sit and look out your window if you don't have the chance to get out. You can sit with your houseplants. So many things that you can do. So number one, connect with nature. Number two is to create something, to be creative. So you could bake, you could cook, you could do some crafts, you could do a jigsaw. I love jigsaws. You could color, you could paint, you could create some pottery. There's loads of places that you can go to paint pottery, which just, I haven't done it yet, but I keep meaning to go. It just looks so much fun. And then you get to keep the pottery afterwards, which is really lovely. So yeah, get creative. Be creative. Sing. Make a dance up. Do whatever you need to do to express your creativeness. We are meant to be creative, especially women. Like, we are creative beings. Okay. Number three, use essential oils to support your mood. So for me, I use the doTERRA blends, and the ones that I would recommend are Balance, Console, and Peace. These can be worn as perfumes, they can be diffused, they can be massaged into the body, they can be sprayed around the room, they can be dropped onto your pillow, they can be literally dropped into your hands and inhaled, and they are so powerful and beautiful. Beautiful. Now, these are generic examples that I'm giving. So if you wanted some personalized examples on essential oils, you can always get in touch and I'd be happy to do that. Number four, take a social media break. And if you can, retreat from technology altogether. Another thing that we deal with now, and again, is social media. If you are trying to protect yourself and give yourself the space that you need to manage your emotions and to navigate how you're feeling, it can be really hard when you go onto your social media and you're seeing all the adverts and all the posts about Mother's Day, Again, you can, I know that a lot of um, companies emailing us in advance to ask if we want to be receiving Mother's Day marketing, but it's still everywhere, isn't it? So my advice is always to take a social media break, and it's a good thing to do in general anyway. Just give yourself some time away from technology. It could be social media, it could be the radio. Just read a book, go out, listen to nature, put a podcast on, whatever it is that you feel would support you in not seeing social media, because it's a reality of our time that it can be a really challenging place to be at times. The number five, start a new tradition. This could be whatever feels good for you. It could be going back to some of the other points that I'm sharing. You could make it a tradition to go for a long walk around Mother's Day. You know, turn your social media off, drive somewhere wonderful and go and have a walk or go and sit on the beach. It could be that you do a jigsaw. Now I am campaigning for jigsaws all the time, because if I ever want to make a social media break, I get so transfixed into a jigsaw, I am gone for hours. So things like this, keeping our hands busy, can be really helpful. So yes, start a new tradition. It could be that you get together with friends that you know will love and support you, and you go and do something really fun together, or you just sit together and drink tea and talk about whatever it is that you need to talk about. Start something new. Again, these suggestions, take them or leave them. It might not be for you. There might be one or two that you take away. It might not. Okay, so number six is hug a pet. This is, or hug somebody. Ask for a hug. For me, it's always hug a pet, because I'm more or less with my dogs 24/7, and they are really good at just sitting and, just that connection of stroking a pet, hugging a pet. You can do the same with a human. You can ask your partner or someone you love just to hug you, or hug a cushion or a teddy. Do something that creates that feeling of being hugged. Hug yourself. When we are hugged, when we are holding ourselves tight, we're supporting the vagus nerve, which is helping us to feel better. Number seven, ground yourself. So many ways that you can ground yourself. You can get out in nature. She's saying it again. You can get your bare feet on the earth and physically, like literally ground yourself. You can take some deep breaths. You can relax and listen to music. Literally, all of these suggestions are in some way grounding you. So find what works for you and consciously take time to ground yourself. Number eight is create connection. So again, this could be as simple as hugging yourself, or ideally, connection with another person. So find somebody to hold space for you. It could be somebody in a professional capacity like myself, or it could be a friend or a loved one or a pet. Again, do not underestimate the value of a pet, but give yourself the chance to connect. Ask for what you need. If you are listening to this and there's somebody that you are aware of who may need a little bit of extra support, reach out and connect to them. Ask them if there's anything they need. That is such a beautiful question to be asked. So number nine, there's two options, or both. You can journal on how you're feeling and just let things flow, no rules, no judgment, just write down what you're feeling or what you need. You could write a letter to yourself. You could write a letter to your parent, to your child, to your future child, to the child you never had, to you as a child, to you as a parent. Feel into what feels good for you. And finally, number 10 is make your inner child happy. Be playful. So this could be something as simple as watching your favorite cartoon or watching a certain childhood film that it makes you remember your childhood and feel connected to your childhood. It could be, um, you know, I always think about the days when I was unwell and I didn't go to school, and I would have like my duvet on the sofa, and my mum would bring me warm Ribena, and I would be able to watch whatever I wanted, whatever video I wanted. Like, recreate that for yourself. If that feels good for you, recreate that. Going to a favorite place that you like to go when you were younger, think about what it is that you would make your inner child feel happy, feel safe. Maybe you want to eat your favorite sweets, have your favorite childhood meal, fish fingers and chips, whatever it is. Do something that makes your inner child happy, and it could connect back to the some of the other examples I've given. So being creative, maybe you really like to bake, maybe you liked painting, colouring in. Go and buy yourself a colouring in book. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, do something for you. Okay. So I hope those examples are helpful. And I'm going to invite you, if you haven't already, to join my community on my website. And in there, I'm going to be sharing some more resources. So if you found this helpful and valuable, then if you step into my community, you're going to get some more resources from me. It's available for free on my website. And the final thing I want to say is I am hosting a Mother's Day support women's circle. And if you would like to join us, you are very welcome. Please look at my website. There'll be links below wherever you're watching this podcast for you to find out more, where we can come together and support each other through all of the things that we are feeling. Because I really want you to know that you're not on your own. If you are feeling a little bit shit about Mother's Day, that's okay. You're not on your own. And I want to create space and hold space for you. So this is a group offering where you come together with other women and me, and we support each other. However, if you would like to do this on a one-to-one basis, and I'm not just talking about Mother's Day now, you may be listening to this podcast at a different time of the year and feel that you need some extra support. This is something I can offer in a one-to-one session as well. So if there's anything that I have touched on that you would like some more support, some more guidance on, please reach out to me at my website or email me, amy@vaginatruthbomb.com, and I will get in touch with you. So thank you for listening. I really hope that this episode is valuable to you and that it's made you have a little bit more awareness of how some people may be struggling with Mother's Day. And if you are somebody who's struggling with Mother's Day, it's made you understand that it's okay, that you're not alone, and that I am here to support you. Okay. So I want to wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for taking time out to spend with me in this episode. And I look forward to catching up with you soon. And I will see you in the next episode. Lots of love. Bye.